Yo, what is up, Crocs and Clan members, Poke fans, and others who have come on this video. I'm SoresanCrockxen here with my official draft posting for the new Infernal League season that I was talking to you guys about a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually a couple of months ago at this point. We are doing both seasons, as I mentioned. We're doing the Underdog Boost season and we're doing the Shittermons season. Zen running the Underdog Boost and Filthy Cubone running the Shittermons draft. So I decided I wanted to participate in the Underdog Boost just because I like Zen ideas a little more. As much as I like lower tier mons, and back in like Gen 6, I was a RU player. I don't know how I feel just using lower tier mons, especially the draft list that Cubone made up. So I wanted to try out the Underdog Boost because Zen came up with like a bunch of crazy ideas. So this is a video for you guys. It's gonna be me showing you guys my picks for this season and talking about them a little bit. So to start off, my first pick, now the way Zen did it is you have to pick them on from tier 1 to tier 6. That's like the first picks, and that was like quick draft, an hour per pick per person. And then after that we went to a slow draft for the rest. But you need at least 12 mons, including your mega. That's you can have more than 12, but your minimum one had to be 12. So my first pick obviously has to be a tier 1 mon, because that's the way he said it, has to be tier 1. My first pick was definitely Tapu Fini. Now Tapu Fini, since Gen 7 came out, has been one of my favorite mons to use competitive wise. And after the boost it got in Gen 8, I basically was spamming it on the ladder. I have a bunch of teams. When I was doing more Gen 8 content, most of my team usually have a Tapu Fini in it. Now I was mostly using like setup, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Surf, Tapu Fini, but I think that from what I've seen viably, Scarf has been doing really well, and because this is a draft league, there's definitely a lot of more improvements when it comes to how I can run Tapu Fini here. Now I'm really excited to use her in this format. I don't think Zen gave her any boost from what I recall. I think it's just standard Tapu Fini with all the things that she normally has. I keep saying her when they're genderless. But anyways, I have a variety of ways to use it. Now my tier, I ended up going in order. I know after the tier 1 pick, Zen said we could use whatever, like pick from the other in whatever order you wanted. But I wanted to go in order. So my tier 2 pick was actually Registeel. Now for most of you guys who have watched my league content before know that I was a big fan of Registeel. I had picked it in every season starting like season 2 of the Elysian League back in the day. Now the positive thing about Registeel in this season is, and the reason why it's a tier 2 mon in this time, is because Zen split it up. So you have regular Registeel, which is, I think is still like tier 4 or something like that. But tier 2 Registeel has access to the ability Filter. And if you don't know what Filter does, it essentially makes it to where super effective type moves do less damage overall. I think it's like a, I don't remember if it's a 50% decrease or something like that, or is it like 30%? I really don't remember. But the point is, it gets access to this awesome ability, which Registeel is bulky enough as it is already, and the fact that you're reducing how super effective moves, how much damage you do against it, makes it even a bigger tank. Not only that, but to make it even better, Zen gave it access to the G-Max move Steel Surge, which, if you don't know what that does, it essentially gives it access to have steel type Stealth Rocks on the field. The thing that makes this one so good for him is that, you can usually, if you want to use Registeel, you use it as a wall. But if you want to use it, like offensive attacks on it, and you don't want to run like an offensive item on it, you would run Assault Vest. Well, you can run Assault Vest with the G-Max move because it's a default. Like, we don't have to Dynamax or whatever. It actually is given as a straight up move. It means you can set up a hazard without without being worried about using the Assault Vest, which makes it even tankier. So I think that's gonna make it a billion times better. In my opinion. Now for my third pick, now initially I had put in Flygon, and because I love my boy Flygon, but I was thinking about it long term and I wanted a different dragon type, which ended up being my Mega, which I'm going to talk about in the future. And like I wanted like I never have ground types in my fucking teams. I've noticed that. I've never picked up a ground type at all, I believe, in most of my seasons. So I was like, you know what? Well, I like Flygon. Flygon has been buffed before. I can have it and not have to worry about Tapu Fini and Defog, you know, so I don't limit it that well. So I was like, you know, fine, Flygon, you know, I love my boy. But I ended up switching it up after like the free picks, or after the free picks was done. Actually, everybody drafted. We were able to do last minute trades, and I ended up replacing it for Moltres. Now Moltres, I've been using it on the ladder as well. I love it as a stopgap to most physical attackers just because it has access to Flame Body. And while he doesn't get any new moves in terms of like this league, this season, Moltres itself is fine. Like, it's a good mon. It was buffed this gen. It has Mystical Fire to deal with special attackers, Scorching Sands to hit those pesky rock types and potentially burn them. It has access to Flame Body, so contact moves can, you know, get them to be burned. I've had that happen a lot of times. And it's tanky enough and it hits hard enough. So there's definitely a variety of ways to use them. And the fact that you have access to hidden power in this league, it makes it even better. Like if I want to run a more offensive run of Moltres. So I'm really excited to see the amount of power that I can bring with this monster. Now for our next pick, hopefully you guys are gonna love this. We're allowing Hisuian so now this again, I picked this mon initially before I decided to go with Moltres, and I still love it. I'm picking up Typhlosion Hisuian. Now Typhlosion was my starter in Legends Arceus, and I love it. Typhlosion is one of my favorite mons, and I actually used Typhlosion before. I think it was season 3, and it helped me win the season. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, a fire ghost type that's essentially like a substitute for Chandelure. And I actually was, you know, mixing whether I should just swipe for Chandelure, but I like it. It's faster than Shandy, so it's gonna make it a little better. It has access to better moves because Zen buffed it, or gave it, because it gave us an actual learn set, because a lot of the Hisuian moves aren't coded into Showdown. So he gave it actual moves. So I have access like Moonguy's Beam, and I think it was Sacred Fire or something like that. I don't know. I need to look at the list again. But I know for a fact, like, having Moonguy's Beam as stab ghost is fucking broken. So I'm really looking forward to having this monster on my team. Next up became my tier 5 now, and I got my boy Licky Licky. Licky go Licky. Now Licky Licky was one of my big tanks. I don't remember what season it was. I think it was back in season 3, and I believe maybe season 4 I used it as well. I actually really have been enjoying Licky Licky, and the best part about it is, you know how usually you would run Licky Licky as a wall, unless you're playing like Gen 4 and you have access to like Sap Explosion, a bunch of shit, and then it's a little stronger. He does have a good variety of moves because he's a fucking normal type, so they get access to a lot of stuff. But the positive thing about this season for me in particular is that because he's on the lower end, we were able to give it a boost of having an extra move, not like 5 moves in a row, but like an extra move that Pokemon can't normally learn, as long as it's actually like, you know, they're typing, right? So for Licky Licky, you know, normally I would run it back in the day as a Wish Passer, because it's good, you know, it's a good move to have. Now granted, he doesn't get Teleport this generation, so he didn't get that buff, unlike the other you know, big fat pink blobs, you know. But the positive thing is that because I was able to give it an extra move, I don't have to just rely on Wish Protect to heal Licky Licky. I gave him access to Slack Off. So now I can basically do what Clefable was doing before, like around the Isle of Armor metagame, where it would run Wish Soft Boil so that it would be able to heal itself before switching out to a teammate. You know, so I think that's gonna be a positive for me. It's very tanky. It's resistant to ghosts. Well, granted, I don't have a weakness to ghosts at all in this gen. So, but it's just still a nice balance to have, and I can't wait to use them this season. Now, for my 6th mon, you know, this is my tier 6. I actually made a mistake because I didn't read the rules correctly. So I initially had picked up Muck with Grassy Surge, but I didn't realize that if you pick Grassy Surge or the terrain abilities, you actually have to pay extra points, and I wasn't taking that into account because I wanted a tier 0 this season, and tier 0s are really expensive, so it kind of fucked up my math. So I ended up, as soon as I had the opportunity, swapping it out for my boy Krokorok with, and this is the best part, because as you know, Muck, Grassy Surge, what is this? If you're a tier 6, you have access to, you as a player, announcing what free ability you're going to give it out of all the abilities that exist, except for the ones that Zen banned, and or they cost points, like Grassy Surge. So I ended up switching it for Krokorok with Water Absorb. So I have an immunity to water. Granted, it's not like, I mean, I did have a weakness to water because I have Moltres and Typhlosion, both fire types, you know. And I don't want to rely on Tapu Fini and Registeel to carry that mantle. So Krokorok, and it's a good stopgap for like electric types, right? So I have a ground type. It's immune to electric, immune to psychic, immune to, or resistant to ghost, now immune to water, and it's only like weaknesses like fairy, grass. It has a couple, it still has a lot of weaknesses. But the good thing about Krokorok is that because it's the tier 6 mon, I can have Z move on it. That's one of the buffs that I get. To get access to Z move. And Krokorok is already strong enough, it's basically like a watered down Crocodile. The fact that I have water immunity with it, and the fact that it's actually relatively strong, and because of how fast it is, I can run, you know, I don't really need to run it as a bulky mon, I can just run it as a Scarf. And Crocodile with Scarf is already good enough as it is. But, you know, it gives me a boost in certain aspects. It has a really good move pool, so I'm really looking forward to using it. Now, for my first free pick, I ended up going with Genesect. Now, like I said, I wanted a tier 0, and Genesect has always been a powerhouse in every gen that it's in. I don't think it's been bad ever in Ubers at all. It's a very, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but the fact that it's so versatile with being run physically or specially. Bug Steel is such a good combination, even to this day. That's what makes Scizor so good. Genesect is basically just a better Scizor, because it has access to be used in a different variety of ways, and it has a wider move pool. I'm really looking forward to using this monster. Being able to have such a fast offensive threat that can be used in a variety of ways, and it has decent bulk, is going to make it easier for me to handle a lot of potential problems that might come in. Obviously, this is where it's going to make it a little harder for my team, my opponents, because of the fact that Genesect has only one weakness. I'm basically forcing them to run HP Fire on a couple of things, but that also limits other mons, because my team is set up to where they cover a lot of each other's weaknesses, to the point where it's going to make it harder for my opponents to pick which hidden power they want to go with or how they're going to handle those moves. Now, my next free pick actually was Electrike, but since it's the lower tier one, I was able to give it Libero. Now, I know that Levitate is a good ability for Electros, Electrike, you know, that type of stuff, because it gives them, they basically have no weakness. But while it is good in theory, I don't really care, okay? The fact that this monster can use Z moves, right? He has access to Z moves and can Dynamax with Stab. It has Stab on everything, and that's the reason why I did it. Because the one positive thing about Electros as a Pokemon in general is that its move pool is so wide that it can do so many things in so many different ways. And I'm really looking forward to using that aspect of this mon. Plus it's an electric type, so I can have Volt Switch, like Volt Turn combinations with, you know, Genesect, Electrike, Moltres, you know, that type of stuff. So that's the main reason why I really wanted it. It's an electric type that's tanky, has access to a huge move pool, and will now have Stab on it. Next up, the big buff boy, and I had, like, this is where the whole mug fucked me over in the beginning, because it's, and I ended up fixing it later. But I wanted big boy Buzzwole. Tier 1 Buzzwole. Now Buzzwole, or actually tier 2, my bad. Tier 2 Buzzwole. Buzzwole, I've been using a lot as well in Gen 8 OU. Because of its tanky nature, it's really bulky, its move pool has improved since Gen 7, and it's the fact that it has access to heavy duty boots or protective pads. It's such a strong Pokemon to use in this gen, so like, I really want it. It's a ground resistance. It has, I mean, it can tank physical hits very well. It hits really fucking hard. It's a little slow, but that's fine. I don't really care about its speed. I just want it to hit hard and take physical moves, because I was seeing a lot of physical attackers, and especially a lot of physical ground type Pokemon being drafted around this time. When I picked it up, I was like, this is definitely gonna help me out. to deal with a lot of these physical threats that people are picking up, because it takes physical hits like nobody's business. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't think anybody picked Melmetal, but this is one of the reasons. Like, I was like, if somebody picks Melmetal, I want this guy because he's like a perfect check. Now, next up, my next Pokemon, I actually, what the fuck did I think it was Wailord that I picked first, but I ended up switching it for Fion. Now, Fion is basically just a watered down Manaphy. We all know this, you know, it's Manaphy but worse. Which is actually why it's on the lower end of the spectrum. But the positive thing is I was able to give it a new ability, Lightning Rod, so I immediately have an electric immunity, so I don't have to rely on just Krokorok or tanking with Licky and Registeel. I have an immunity to electric type moves, and I get a +1 boost every time I get hit with it. So it basically makes it to where Fion basically can be like Manaphy, which is what I was basically going for. It also has access to Dynamax and can use Z-moves. So this is going to be... plus, I just like having water types in general. So I'm really looking forward to using this monster this gen. Now, last but not least, actually, it's not my last, because I still have my Mega Taiwan. But anyways, the last free pick I had was Staryu. Now, granted, everybody at some point was going to end up having to pick a tier 8. Tier 8s are basically just basically baby Pokemon, or really shitty, like, early route trash Pokemon, right? But the thing that, the main reason why I picked up Staryu, like I said, it's a lot of water types coming in here and what's wrong with you. The funny thing about Staryu, man, I was seeing people calc some of these baby water types. Like, I think Zach ended up grabbing Clamperl, because you can give these tier 8s any ability that's not bad. So he was calcing Water Bubble Clamperl with the Deep Sea tools, basically almost OHKOing Ferrothorns and Toxapex. I'm like, you know what? I want a fucking bulky, strong ass water type nuker. So I was like, you know what? Staryu is fast, relatively fast, because the baby Pokemon, relatively fast, and has a really fast move pool, so I can run it however I want. And I have access to every single water type move in the game. So I'm looking forward to using this monster. Now for sure, last but not least, my Mega Pokemon for this season is my boy Mega Sceptile, which this is the reason why I decided, you know what, I don't really need Flygon, because I'm going to have him as a Dragon type. You're like, but Sceptile sucks as a Dragon type. No, because Zen boosted it this gen by giving it access to Draco Meteor. Not only does he have access to Draco Meteor, but Zen gave it Jungle Healing, so now I have a move that heals me and removes status in one go. So, I mean, Mega Sceptile is fast as fuck, is strong as hell. Now I have 2 good stab moves to use. And because he's like the fastest, I think one of the faster Pokemon that were drafted this season, I don't really have to worry too much about like running max speed Sceptile. I can just speed creep as much as I need to catch some of these monsters. Because Mega Sceptile is so fucking fast that I don't think I ever really need to run max speed unless there is a mon that's somewhat close to his speed in base form with the choice card. You know what I mean? So I'm hyped. I'm hyped that I'm going to be able to use this monster now even better than I used to before. And that's basically my list. That's my entire draft for this season. I'm really looking forward to playing. This is just a fun season because everything's just whack. Everything's crazy. You can't really expect too much for some of these lower tier mons, but that's the most exciting part about it. So hope you guys enjoy it. I'm more than likely just gonna do like replays of my battles, like not, you know how before I used to do like live recordings of the matches. I think I'm just gonna focus on like the replays and go over my thoughts and mindset during the battle. That's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are looking forward to the first season, first / half season of the Infernal League. That's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in future videos.